Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Storm with Selena. Today, we sit down with Jill Hanlin. She was here just a few weeks ago, sharing her story through the years of active addiction and then her journey through recovery. Today, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what that trauma has done to her family and how that generational change happens and how her children have survived through those years and how it has affected them to this day. So thank you, Jill, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Selena.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll kind of start at the beginning because there was some pivotal things that happened. And so as I mentioned before in part one, I had a child that passed away. And so then a couple years later, I was also in active addiction. I found out that I was pregnant again. Immediately stopped everything and got clean and had a healthy baby boy. And I think because of the trauma and losing my first child, his brother, they did have the same dad. I think that instinctually and just maternally, I put everything. I was very overbearing, very overprotective, all the things. At the time I had an ideal situation because I was a single mom, but I worked at a daycare. So initially, for his first few years, he would go to work with me. I'd take him to the infant room and there was, different funny things that I was overbearing. We'll just say that. Couple years have gone by. I no longer worked the daycare. I put myself through medical assisting school. I was working at Research Hospital. So, and then of course started kind of getting lonely. And again, mentioned in part one, I welcomed someone into my home and out of sheer loneliness and codependency, and it turned into a disaster. And now my son has gone from this normal, very loving, nurturing environment to turmoil. And how's he going to navigate it? At the time, not thinking, and I'm going to apologize first. I didn't wear any makeup today because I knew this was going to be emotional.
Sure.
So, he witnessed a lot of abuse towards me. He was in daycare, and then and at this time I had started using again, and so switching jobs, all those kinds of things. I had taken him out of daycare. And then I left him with, at the time, the person that I was with, and whose name is Daniel. Anyway, well, I thought that was a safe environment. I mean, why would it not be safe? Anyway, I find out later that there was abuse happening there as well.
Wow. So he was
physical abuse.
He was really having to just this trauma of being that's their everyday life, or that's the normal of having to navigate that as a child. Because instinctively, I think we know things are not right, but we are children, or in a child's mind, this is home, and you don't know anything different.
Right. Well, and just the generational thing. And he and I have talked about this now, I would ask it. I mean, when I found out, I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that was happening? And his response was, because then you guys would fight. Same reason I never told my dad.
Trying to fix the problem.
Same reason I never told my dad. Yeah.
Trying to be the peacemaker.
Yep. So anyway, one incident that occurred that clearly has left a stamp in his mind. we were fighting. Well, uh, Daniel was maybe had gotten home late, was drunk, hung over. I don't know. He was still in bed. And my son went up to maybe crawl in bed with him or something, and he pushed him out of the bed. So he came downstairs to tell me that that happened. Well, that was about, I mean, like, so that was the first time that I knew that there had been anything physical. No, okay. But it had been happening before, but while I was at work. Anyway, so now, I mean, like mama bear. And so here I go storming up the stairs. When I got to the top of the stairs, he was there with his fist and he punched me in the face, and I rolled down the stairs and landed at my son's feet with blood streaming out of my mouth. And yeah, that's something that in different therapy throughout his life, he has referred to.
That was a very vivid memory for him.
Yes. Another time, mind you, he's 3. He we were fighting again, and he had me trapped in the corner in the kitchen, and he had a knife to my throat and screaming at me. But in between screams, I heard my son on the phone with 911 saying, "Help, help, he has a knife to my mom's throat." And that's, again, another story that he recreated years later through therapy and stuff. And I mean, incidents like that. Then soon after, my dad knew that there was abuse happening because now he's going to spend time at my parents' house.
And he's telling somebody he thinks is safe what's going on. Yeah.
And did the same with his dad. So now people know what's going on. And now I'm in this cycle of abuse, but I'm also in this cycle of addiction. And now there's another child in the house. By this time, I've had my daughter. And anyway, I mean, I know that there is the threat that
So I know people are probably saying to you at that time, you got to go, you need to leave. How are you handling that?
Oh, no, it's okay. It's not. No, you were
downplaying it?
Yeah, I was downplaying it. And, I mean, as sad as it is, I was more so making it up that Zeke was making things up. He wasn't, he didn't know. It wasn't quite like that. Well, yeah.
And that's probably hard to deal with. That's probably part of the struggle as well, is that he's trying to tell the truth, and your cycle,
backing it up.
Yeah, your cycle of addiction and abuse is trying to protect yourself. And yeah, I can understand how that is creating the generational curse from one generation to the next. Yeah.
And then there became, I mean, now that I have clarity and a clear head, there were signs too that something may have changed. I mean, one, I'm remembering as we're talking, he was 4 years old, maybe. Okay. And Daniel was in drug treatment. And and his sister was a baby. So he was 4 because she was just a baby. Okay. Well, and he had told me about the neighbor girl that had a bunny rabbit, and he wanted a bunny rabbit, I'm like, well, we can't get a bunny rabbit. Anyway. And, so it was morning-ish. He was playing on the back porch with some little toys and stuff. I was giving his sister a bottle. I told him to stay right there. I'm going to go lay her down for a morning nap. And I'm up there patting her back until she falls asleep. And anyway, then there's a knock at the door. So I run downstairs, and I want to say, it didn't seem like 5 or 10 minutes. Anyway, I run downstairs, and it's the neighbor lady, the mom of the girl with the rabbit, and she wants to know where Zeke is. I'm like, oh, he's on the back porch. So I go to and he's not there. And so now go back and I'm like, what's going on? She was like, well, what kind of shoes does he have on? I think Reeboks. I mean, and anyway, and she was like, well, I think he broke into my house and he stole my daughter's rabbit. And I'm like, what in the world? And so now we go out, we're frantically looking for him, and we find him at the little park area. It had rained, so there was a puddle at the bottom of the slide, and he was giving the rabbit a bath, and poor rabbit was hanging on by a thread. Anyway, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I would get the rabbit, and the rabbit's okay, and then I get a better understanding of what happened when the lady takes me to her house. Well, she wanted to know what size shoes he wore because they had a little rock garden. At 4 years old, taken all the flat rocks and stacked them on top of each other, climbed on the rocks, pull into the screen windows. You have that rubber piece that goes around. He pulled that out, pulled the screen, climbed through the window. So his muddy footprints are everywhere, up the stairs, came back down, and walked out the front door.
Oh my.
Yeah. So, you know what and that, of course, he, got in trouble. But I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, if I would have been more aware of what was actually happening and not been so fucked up, then maybe, anyway, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But
Well, in all fairness, that can also happen in families where there's no addiction. So,
yes,
I mean, it can. Kids can get away from you in a heartbeat. But when you do have, I'm making an assumption here, but I would assume when you do have other elements that are controlling your life, what you prioritize changes. And even though we still say we're probably prioritizing our children, really, we're going into another room where they're not in, and we're in there involved in drug activity. Well, the kids, we think, are watching TV.
Yeah.
They know what we're doing.
Know what's going on.
And I say we. I cannot say that I've had a drug issue, but I've been around enough to know that I've had friends that, left the kids in the living room when they went into the bedroom, and, the kids eventually figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, then now Zeke's in kindergarten, and of course things have only gotten worse. And with things getting worse means.
And when you say worse, was it acting
with me?
Okay.
Like my addiction.
Okay.
So my lack of responsibility and lack of accountability are rampant at this point. And he's going to see his dad, and I'm getting I'm getting more. I'm getting deeper into my addiction, not being responsible. I mean, like my phone was turned off, my electricity was turned off. I mean, like all the, it was turning into a trap house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was an incident at school. I can't remember exactly what had happened, but it was a serious enough incident that someone needed to pick him up, and they couldn't get a hold of me. And his dad had already made threats to the situation and what Zeke had been telling him was happening at home, and that one more, and that's it. And anyway, so they had to call him. Well, somehow at the last minute, I don't know how, but I found out that there was something happening. I ran up to the school. He was already there, and he said, that's it. I'm not playing anymore. And I just took it as another idle threat.
Sure.
And then, within a few weeks, it was his weekend to visit. Zeke was involved in wrestling. And so we, whatever, I dropped him off on Friday. I was to pick him up after wrestling on Sunday. And over the course of that weekend, Daniel and I got into a huge fight. And I kicked him out. I mean, like I was done. And I called John, who is Zeke's dad, after the big blow up happened, and I kicked him out. And I just felt compelled to thank him for being a good dad. And I know I'm a mess, but I'm going to start working on me. And, and that was it. The next,
How did he respond to that?
he's like, okay.
So he was ready to.
He was okay. He just said, okay, which like normally, I don't know, hindsight's 2020. He would have had more to say, maybe like chopping me down a little bit for being with dummy or whatever. But so then the next day I had to get a ride to go pick him up. A friend of mine took me. It was pouring down rain. And my daughter was in the back seat. And I walked up to the door. I mean, like pouring. So I was already a drowned rat, and knocked on the door. And a complete stranger opened the door and asked me if I was Jill Hanlin. I said, yes, I was. You've been served. And after that, he stood behind her and said, I'm sorry. And they shut the door.
How'd you feel in that moment?
Like something had been ripped from me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live, but I had my daughter. Shortly thereafter, they opened the door, asked me to please remove myself from the property. And I just stepped away, and they walked to the car, and they got in the car, and I chased it. It was about a block and a half on off of 13th Street there in Blue Springs. And I chased them all the way to 40 Highway. And then just hit the ground. My friend is like, what is going on? And I went straight to my parents' house, and of course, broke down. And my dad is just, my dad, my kids, my dad loves my kids, and him and Zeke had already had an incredible bond. And and then he sees what I'm going through. It was just a complete mess. And after I left there, I went and got really high.
So even the threat of your son being taken from you, you're still with it. Yeah.
Because that's how I deal with anything that happens is I run from it.
Yeah.
And so within a couple days, my dad went and paid for an attorney. And that attorney told me I'd have to get clean. And anyway, but through the process, John and his wife, he had gotten married at the time. Anyway, I don't know if they were married then or not. But anyway, they had eventually gotten married. But they did let me see him supervised. And the first time I saw him, he had no understanding. Mommy, why can I go with you? And I'm like, no, but I promise I'm coming back to get you. I promise
I'm sure that was very traumatic for both of you.
Yeah.
And I think children, even when they're not in the best circumstances, they are still so loyal to the parent. They, good, bad, or ugly, they love.
How many psychologists and therapists and counselors have told me this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that loyalty is unbreakable when it's that, even if it's the trauma bond, it's still the loyalty of it,
And the mother, and you very well know. The the mother and the firstborn son. I love all my children.
Oh, our
What I mean?
firstborns are something. It's something different.
Just something.
It's the one that made us a mother.
It's the first love of your life.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's the first real love of your life.
Yeah. The first person that you would give your life for. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I met two more loves of my life, but it's just, and it was just him and I against the world. It was him and I alone, and and then, yeah.
So I know we're going to continue this, but I have to ask, do you understand now why they had to take him?
Oh, yes.
You do understand.
I do. It took me a long time to get past that hateful vengeance, and and I mean, I wanted to blame her, and and unfortunately, yes, I do know why.
Because I want people who are listening to this to understand.
They did it because he needed to be protected from me and the lifestyle that I was living. I mean, he didn't ask for that.
Right.
And no child deserves that.
But in your mind, during that time period, that's the black hole that it sucks you in.
That's the lie
that you cannot.
Addiction tells you. Yeah. That's the devil, right? I mean, it's them. How dare they? I mean, and just, well, a little cuckoo.
No, and I think it, in order for parents and people who don't have addiction to understand where that person goes to when they're making these horrible choices and decisions, that they choose the drugs over their children, that they choose the behaviors and the other addicts that they keep in their lives and the abuse and the cycle and the chaos. It is because you are so deep in the thralls of addiction that you can't see the truth. You can only see the lies that support what provides you with your functioning dysfunction.
Yeah. And yes, I completely have tremendous gratitude, and I'm thankful that they took him out of that situation. But then they had their own child. And so now Zeke's like this. Anyway, so Zeke has grown up to have a very weird, not weird, it's not weird. Scratch that. A very, like almost obsessive fear with abandonment when it comes to women. And, I'm grateful to his stepmom, although, there was continuous trauma happening. Like, I was allowed to have Zeke, although supervised, at my parents' house. And, okay, well, I had him for the weekend. We went to Blockbuster, and he and I, we're at Blockbuster, and we're shopping for, movies, clearly. And she comes in. And she, freaks out because I'm alone with him at Blockbuster, and takes him and just leave, And anyway, and that's an incident that he remembers. There's, and he had told me as an adult, because I'm trying to understand him, and I want him to be honest with me because of all the issues that he has, which I'm going to get to. But I would write him weekly, every week, while I was in prison and all that stuff, And I barely got to talk to him. I tried all the time, but they wouldn't answer a lot of the time. But and I would always keep it upbeat, and and are you going to write me back? Or if you ever get a chance, and whenever we would get off the phone, and he told me, he was like, I never understand what you were talking about. He was like, until one day when I'm being nosy and going through Zoe and Dad's room, and I find a box.
All the letters.
All the letters.
Mm-hmm.
There they were. And so now he, as an adult, he was like, so you have to understand, Mom. He was like, here you were, you promised me that you were going to get me back. And it was me and you against the world. And then this happens and I don't come back to live with you. And so I feel abandoned. And he was like, and then this person that I'm supposed to trust is lying to me about you and saying things that aren't true. And then I find this box of letters and you were trying to be there for me for the best from a place where you weren't doing good. And just, he was like, so I felt abandoned by, and basically, I'm drawing a blank. I just had a blank screen. Abandoned and let down by two women that I looked up to. And
Well, caught between the tug of war is really what that is.
Yeah.
One that is doing everything you could to communicate with him with whatever tools you had, which was letter writing.
Mm-hmm.
The other one probably, I'm guessing, didn't see the benefit of that,
Mm-hmm.
so she thought she was going to protect him from being empty promises.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing here. I'm not saying that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And both of you were probably trying, but it would take some very mature women to be able to put the child first. And I'm guessing that there probably wasn't a whole lot of that on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a pretty rounded an adult for everything I've been through, but I've been petty too.
Mm-hmm.
I've had stepchildren. I was petty towards the other parent as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine the trauma that plays out in a child caught in some pretty high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not talking garden average parental squabbling.
Well,
we're talking about jail. We're talking about prison. We're talking about addiction. We're talking about abandonment. We're talking about the stuff that destroys children and creates problems for when they become adults. It's the trauma that they carry,
Mm-hmm.
And,
in her defense, this is...
Well, she's not here to defend herself.
And this is a funny little story. Okay, so whenever I was in and out, whatever, and Zeke was, of course, living with them, and I guess I don't know, stole somebody's purse from Walmart, maybe, and I say maybe I did steal someone's purse. I just can't remember if it was Walmart, but. I got caught for it using her checkbook, something. I got caught. And anyway, so I'm going to court for this. And I mean, she's showing up for court, which is fine. And anyway, fast forward just a little bit. I talked to Zeke's dad and he said, well, he called me after Zeke's field trip to Jeff City. And, one of the teachers at the school, whatever, they all went, and Zoe went to be a chaperone or whatever. And in the conversation, the teacher that Zoe was sitting next to on the bus was telling her about how her purse had gotten stolen. And but they caught the person that did it, and so on and so forth. And, well, what was her name? Yeah. So, something like that really doesn't help my case either.
Right.
So anyway, and thank you for that.
How'd you find out about that? How'd you find out about that?
How did I find out about it? Oh, yeah. Well, John called me because she went home and said, oh, guess what happened today on the way to Jeff City for the Capitol.
That was probably pretty humiliating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, really humiliating. But, that humiliation didn't stop my ball from rolling.
Right.
And so, so basically in and out, in and out. When I was in federal prison, so in 2003, 2004, 2005, Zeke's now 13. And so I don't really need their permission to talk to him. I mean, he can answer the phone himself and things like that. And, but I'm still his go-to person. I'm still the person he trusts. And I'm still the person.
That's that loyalty.
I'm still the person that he first told he lost his virginity. The first time he tried weed, I'm the person that, So now I know that these things are happening, but here I sit and I can't do anything about them.
Yeah, all parents sitting in jail have that's got to be the most helpless feeling is your child needs you, but you're in jail, sitting in prison.
Right. And now he's in this family structure and this family dynamic, and they have 2 kids of their own. And so he's the odd man out. And that's how he feels, because they don't include him in things. And wrestling was him and his dad's connection. And then once he started, kind of getting away from that and dabbling in other stuff and doing, stuff he probably shouldn't have been doing, that created a barrier in their relationship.
Sure.
And, they weren't as close.
Yeah.
And so he feels like he has no one, kind of. And anyway, so then I get out. And within the week of me getting out, he is at my dad's living with me. And that was a big, that was not an easy task. There were cops involved. There was him refusing to get out of the vehicle.
Okay, so he came to your house and said, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Your son came to your house, said, I'm not leaving. My mom's home. This is how it's going to be.
Yep. And I even I said, I can't do that, Zeke. That's not, look, I'm trying to walk every straight line I can. And you can't do that. I don't have custody of you. This is a problem. So I even forced him to get in the car, and I took him to his dad's house, and he would not get out of the car. He would not get out of the car. And so, of course, the police come. And so, here I am a week out of prison. I've already had police interaction. I've got to tell my people. I mean, I'm like, and the cop said he's not going to be able to get out of the car without force. And we're not forcing him out of the car physically. We're not going to. So that was that. I, part of this story from part 1, I got it together. Within a couple of years, I had bought a house, and I mean, so we were doing great. But
were you doing great? Because there was a lot of trauma.
Well, right. And I was in therapy. I mean, so I was trying to do great.
Right.
I was doing the greatest I had done.
Right.
Up until this point as an adult. But my son was failing. I mean, he was now missing school. I mean, now these things are, I mean, like, and hanging out with people, I'm just like, these kids don't, I mean, why are they still here? It's 10 o'clock at night. It's a school night. I mean, the questionable characters and the questionable behavior, and I'm not dumb. I was
going to say, you're familiar with this.
Right. So then he started getting in trouble. At 13, gosh, I can't remember the first big thing that happened. And here I am. I had also gotten involved with, I was on a committee. It was called Stand Up Safe. It was police officers and school board members. And I was on the committee and going into schools and talking about the dangers of drug use and underage drinking. It was like kind of my give back to the community thing.
Right.
And I stepped down from that committee because of how bad Zeke was doing, because one of those police officers was at my door dropping my son off. So I was like, okay, I've got to maintain this.
Right.
I've got to try to
Right.
focus on this. And two, taking the attention away from my other two kids.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's impacted them.
Sure.
So this was a constant battle. I mean, in and out of facilities. I mean, the one big thing that he set the dumpster behind IV on 40 and 7 on fire. And then I scrambled trying to find him somewhere to go. Well, a lot of a lot of places wouldn't take kids that had started fires. So then I'm reaching out further. I sent him down to St. James, to Boys and Girls Town. And then he came back, and then he got in more trouble because he's on probation, and he went to out to McCune, which is now closed down. I mean, I was constantly trying to find a way. I was trying to save him from what eventually was inevitable. But
yeah. So my son went to McCune, and he went to Watkins Mill, and he eventually went to Tarkio.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, and
Did the circuit.
Yeah. And his was more court ordered because he'd gotten in trouble through the court.
Yeah.
And
Zeke's was too.
I wish we'd have found a different option.
I know.
Because he was taught everything he didn't already know.
Yes.
You're just putting all of them together.
Was he in Crittenton?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
He'd been in
Crittenton too.
Crittenton.
Yep. Ozanam. That was another one. I mean, it was just, but, and he was just learning stuff.
Yeah.
Learning more stuff.
Coming back worse than when he went in.
Yes. He orchestrated an escape from McCune. After he got out, he went back and got a hole in the fence. So, I mean, and then me and anyway, gosh, it was a constant, it was something, it seemed like every day. Anyway, so, that took up a lot of my time, and it also kept me clean until it didn't. And
how were your parents during that time period watching you spinning out of control trying to chase your son? Because at one time they were the ones spinning out of control trying to chase you. How were they?
Well, so my mom, who wouldn't have had much of an opinion anyway, she passed in 2005. So she was already gone. My dad, I mean, he felt for me. He understood. And he supported me. I mean, he wanted to save Zeke as bad as I did. I mean, that was, also the first grandchild.
Yep.
I mean,
my mother was the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever he could do for me, for him, I mean, he was about it. And I mean, so grateful that I did have him to be supportive and bounce ideas off and listen, I don't know if I can handle this anymore, just very supportive. Yeah.
I always described it as co-parenting with my mother.
Yeah.
That
absolutely
we took turns, we tag teamed and dealt with Stephen.
Yes. So then he had started dabbling in harder drugs, of course, and that was obvious. Still in and out. And I had relapsed. And I had never, and no judgment. I say this with no judgment at all, but it's just something that I'm grateful for, that I did have the wherewithal to never use with him. I never used from. Now, did he steal my meth? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And
so he was aware that you'd relapsed.
That was a real kick in the teeth. And, but now he had it on me, and it was something that you know, he called that morning, and I'm like, and uh, he was like, "What are you gonna do? Your threats are nothing. What are you gonna do? Call the cops? Tell them I stole your meth?" Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Calling you out.
yeah, yeah. So, anyway,
That's the ultimate call out.
I know. And
You're calling me a piece of crap, but yet I came in and stole your
Right.
drug of choice.
Yeah. So, and that didn't get me out of my relapse. Anyway, and so then, now all the motions are falling apart. The dysfunction is now, infiltrated our lives once again. And I now that I'm in my addiction, now that he's aware of it, now that, yeah, I mean, there's factors involved now, and what do? I use more and I spiral. So now I'm back to criminal activity. And he goes and he gets caught up for some stuff, and goes and does a 120. And
How old was he at this time?
he had just turned 18. And, we had an agreement. The agreement was I was going to get clean before he got out. And I'd been lying to him. So he got out and I wasn't clean. And my criminal activity had escalated, and I was burglarizing houses. And I was still trying to hide the fact that I was still trying to convince him that I was clean. I mean, anyway, him and his girlfriend, actually his oldest daughter's mom, they went to Lake Chicomo to watch the sunset, and got in the trunk hoping they could find something to sit on, and they found a bunch of stolen items and burglary tools and all kinds of stuff. So now here he is calling me out. And so, I mean, it just kind of, that relationship and me trying to hold it together and keep this house afloat and keeping things hidden from my other two kids. I mean, so now it's crumbling. I'm on the run. And anyway, there was an incident that occurred. A lot of the details are fuzzy, but I do know this. There was a sawed-off shotgun in the trunk of my car, and also a handgun in the back seat underneath the seat. The police pulled up to the house that I was at. Anyway, I got away. I left the car behind.
This is when you were on the run?
This is when I'm on the run, and Zeke has just shortly been out, but he knows I'm up to no good. He's called me out on it. And so I've just I just abandoned the house, like, okay. And am acting like a complete lunatic, of course, because, who doesn't when they're doing loads of meth and have no conscience because the meth ate it. That's what I always said. No, meth ate my conscience. And
pretty accurate.
Yeah. So anyway, the cops pick me up, or no, the cops don't pick me up. The cops let me go. Okay. I leave this car behind. It's in my name. And I get picked up at the top of the street by my boyfriend at the time, and who was living in my house as I abandoned my house. And so the cops saw the vehicle that picked me up, and about the time that he was picking me up, I saw the tow truck pull up and hook up to the car, but I got away. So it's going to be okay. No. I had him drop me off somewhere else. And the next day, basically what happened was they had my house staked out. Zeke left that morning in the ex-boyfriend's vehicle. They associated that with the vehicle that picked me up, and they pulled him over, and they bring him in for questioning, and he's like, I don't even know what you're talking. What is going on here? And basically, they start saying things, and he told them that it was my mom, but it was not me. And I did not know this was happening. Okay. Then through the course of the next 24 hours, I talked to him, and he tells me that the police tried to pull him over, and he ran, and he'd been hiding in a shed all day because I hadn't been able to get a hold of him all day. Well, because he was at the police station. And so anyway, he turned me in. Basically, I ran from the police, and I was hiding, and he was supposed to come pick me up. Well, he directed them to me instead. And so I go to jail, and
What were the police originally looking for you for?
burglaries.
Okay.
Burglaries. And, it's just another blessing, thank God, that the guns, I mean, I don't know what happened with that. Just a blessing, because nothing happened with
Right.
what they found in that car. Anyway, so then he feels terrible, of course. He never admits it to me, but I know. The police told me, and so he's trying to do his best to because I'm going to be sitting there. I mean, I'd already been out on bond, so now I've got these new cases, and so but he couldn't handle it, and he relapsed shortly thereafter, and excuse me, and then from there everything went crazy because he doesn't his stop pause. I forgot to mention all the mental illness diagnoses that we had beginning at age 5, which contributed to his behaviors as well as his illicit drug use. I mean, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder.
He was diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder
Yes,
as a minor.
as a minor.
That's unusual.
Yes, they said that too. And and all the bipolar. I mean, a lot of diagnoses. So he would be med compliant, then he wouldn't be med compliant. I mean, this is just a ongoing thing that he has done his whole entire life. So back to this, he relapsed and managed to just now he's not med compliant. Now we're doing the meth, and now
Yeah,
he's
non-compliant,
committed.
especially if you're bipolar and you're doing meth. I have some experience with that because Stephen was the same way. So not only do you not have any impulse control because you're not on medication, but then you're also 10 foot tall and bulletproof because the flood of endorphins from the meth, it's a cocktail for disaster because you just become this over the top. I mean, I watched Stephen's cycle, so I know exactly what that is. I could watch him pace back and forth like he's a caged animal until he would go use. And then he would be out of control, running the streets, pillaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we watched it. We've seen it.
I mean, just
Insanity.
watching insanity just in front of your face. Yeah, and your child.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
It is. It's devastating, heartbreaking. I mean, like and there's, I think that you lose words to describe just as a mother how. I mean,
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to draw a difference here. And so walk with me through this
Yes.
because I don't want you to feel like but at the same time I am. So just stick with me.
Okay.
I was a mother that had never struggled with addiction and watched my son spiral and was a mess. And I was not handling it well because I didn't have any skills to know how to handle it. I didn't understand it because I wasn't afflicted with the same issues. I basically was embarrassed, ashamed, and angry at being drugged down through it and back when I didn't ask for it. I'm assuming, but I want you to tell me, I'm assuming that had to have been 100 times worse as a mother that was barely managing and many times not managing.
Yes. Well,
Describe that to me.
well, I mean,
you've got
until I became, until my whole experience in prison, until God's kind of, shown me a little bit of a different view on my life, just to be riddled with that guilt.
Yeah.
And not, and not shame. I've never been ashamed of him. I mean, we've been places and I'd be like, oh my gosh, chill out. You stop.
Yeah.
Stop. You know what I mean? But I've never been ashamed of him. I've just wanted him to be okay. And he's like a male version of me, but so much worse. I mean, I don't have, I'm not trapped in the mental illness that he's trapped in. And it's a trap. It's a prison within yourself, and without taking meds for the rest of your life, you can't get out of that prison. You have to take something to escape the prison. And I mean, who wants to do that every day? I mean, I understand the mental, anguish of, no, I just want to be, and it's not possible to just be.
There's Kleenexes on the floor. Steve, if you need them.
Thank you.
I think they're down there somewhere.
That's okay.
Well, my question that I'm asking, and I am deliberately asking it because I wanted you to get in touch with your feelings about this, but I know when I was dealing with my son and all of his chaos and drama, it would send me into such anxiety, and I did not manage it right. I disassociated many a times because I had to survive that day. I had to go to work that day. I had to function in the rest of the world. He had a little brother that I still had to take care of. And I didn't have an addiction as well to try to manage. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that here you are in your own battle, and then you also have the trauma of what your son is doing to himself. And yet he's not just doing it to himself. He's doing it because of how he's been raised, or how he's not raised, but the environment around what he's lived in.
The trauma. I mean, escaping the trauma.
Right.
That's all he's trying to do.
Right.
Just like I was doing, and, but, and I hate to compare, but I mean, his escape was always catastrophic. I mean, mine I could maintain. I mean, so I thought. But
I relate when you just said catastrophic, because Stephen didn't fuck up a little bit. He fucked up a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
And and the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm get caught all the time. caught every time. I mean,
Yeah,
and
that was Stephen.
yeah,
We'd always tell Stephen, and I don't mean to keep comparing this, but I think it's the male child.
yes.
I would tell him, how do you call yourself a thief? You get caught every time. You're the worst thief I've ever seen. Not that I've seen a lot of thieves, but I would say to him, don't be bragging about what you're doing, because you end up in jail for everything you do.
Right.
Don't walk around here like you're some big badass thug. You're an asshole that just keeps going to jail.
Yeah. And I would tell Zeke, I'm like, you're no good at this. Hang up your hat. I don't know. Find a different hobby.
Right.
You are no good at this.
And we've kind of all, in our family, my husband, my younger son, we've all kind of quietly, he thinks he's a criminal. He thinks he's, because in his mind, he is. In his mind, he believed he was great at everything he did. The only thing I can say that gave him any thug credibility is he was a hell of a tattoo artist. But a thief? Nah.
Right.
Nah, he sucked at that.
Right. Right.
So I can relate to what you're saying there.
Yep. Well, and let me mention that during this time period, whenever he got out from the 120, and he was locked up shortly thereafter. After I got locked up, he was also locked up. But he did manage to get his girlfriend at the time pregnant. And so now, there's that. And it was very surreal. So now we're both in Jackson County Jail. He and I at the same time. So now we can no longer communicate. And I don't know I think at that time you could write inside the jail. So maybe we would send each other postcards or something.
Couldn't send a kite inside the jail to each other.
No.
That's so wrong that I know.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to stop right there. Hold on. So I had known he had not been doing well. I knew that things were bad. I wasn't able to call him on the phone anymore. You know how I found out he was in Jackson County Jail? Because he was coming from court as I was going to court. We passed each other, and here he is with all these, with all these other guys shackled, coming from court, chained together, and here he is, Mommy! Anyway, and I was like, oh my
sorry,
gosh.
I got to play that one out in my head because I always went to my son's court dates so he could see me.
Yeah. And I would too.
And just so he could see me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would always sit where he could see me, and he would always wave at me. He'd walk in,
all tough,
and then he'd sit down, and he would go,
Yeah. Yep. So that's how I found out that he had gotten arrested. And so then it was, go to this church service or whatever. But that was kind of a moment of like, oh my gosh, where is this? What? It was a little surreal, and
so had it hit you that we're both in jail?
Yeah. This is not okay.
Like we're now it's the second generation that is,
Yes. So shortly, anyway, after sitting there for 6 months, by a chance of fate, I got released on house arrest. So, I did get to meet my first granddaughter within a few weeks of her birth. And then, be there to go to Zeke's court dates and stuff. And anyway, he, excuse me. So, his sentencing day for all this, he racked up a whole bunch of charges, and he was already on probation. And so, it was a sentencing date, and I was supposed to speak or say something on his behalf or something like that. And his mom and I, or his stepmom and I, at this point, because after I got out of federal prison, she and I we met at the park. did all the things. I'm sorry. I'm grateful to you.
Had some healing.
Had some healing. And so now we're at, I showed up late to his sentencing. Well, and it had already kind of happened. And as we left, my dad told me, his stepmom got to speak on his behalf, and she painted an unsavory picture of me and blamed a lot of the situation he was in, on me. Okay. So, anyway, and Zeke had to hear that, and then Zeke told me too, he was like, but it's not your fault, Mom. I don't know why she did that. I don't even know why they gave her the opportunity to do that. This is me. You didn't do this. And that was the other thing too. There was I would try. We would be in therapy. We would be, and I would beg for him to let me have it. Let me have it. I know you've got to be pissed at me. I let you down. I left you. I didn't fight for you. You've got to be mad. No, Mom. No, you know what I mean? He would never, I forgive you. As here recently, he's let me have it, and that's fine. We'll get to that part of the story. So now he's going to prison. He got sentenced to 8 years. And he goes to prison, a young, good-looking white guy, and pretty much, from what he told me and from other people that work in the Department of Corrections have told me, he got there and had two choices, how he was going to do this time. And so he chose to click up with, and that.
So I'm going to stop right there. So this is a pretty dominant gang inside the Department of Corrections.
Yes. And things went downhill from there. The first incident.
I was going to say, where did he sit at with them?
Well, he was working his way up. And he did it rather rapidly.
So I think we have to walk through that, because there's a lot of people that won't understand what that is. So when you associate with a gang inside prison, the way you move up is they basically tell you, go hit this person, and that you're fighting, you're
getting in drugs,
you're bringing in the drugs, you're pushing people out of, forcing them to go to administrative segregation. You're maybe you've heard it on other podcasts, they refer to it as a shot collar. They're out there just pushing people to clear the pathway for the upper gang members, whatever they're wanting to do.
Yes. So it's my granddaughter's first birthday. May have been her first birthday. I want to say her first birthday, right around her first birthday. Anyway, something significant was going on with her earlier that day. So I want to say it was a birthday party. And then basically my daughter-in-law, they never got married, but they were going to go see Zeke that afternoon for visits. So anyway, I'm at home. At the time, I was living in Northeast. Anyway, I get a phone call. I can't remember if it was her. Anyway, I guess what had happened was he arranged for her to meet up with someone before coming to the visit to get what she says she thought it was weed. Okay. So she gets
So she's taking things into the prison for him.
But, he's already, pretty instantaneously been associated with. So, those phone calls are phone calls that they pay really close attention
Oh, yeah,
to.
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and they're watching mail, they're watching everybody
Right.
it coming in and out.
Right.
When you are associated, when you are identified, you're not moving without everything being watched.
Yeah. Yeah. So, she thinks she's taken in some weed. And she takes the baby and they go in, and then they pull her to the side. And anyway, it was meth. And so she got a charge, and now somebody needed to come pick up the baby. And of course, they're taking him straight to the hole. I mean, they never even got to visit, whatever. Yeah. So, I was pissed. I was very upset. That's not okay. I mean, but what I've done, when I go to prison, I'd pull my head out of my ass and just act right, because I didn't want any of the privileges that I could possibly have to be taken away from me. I mean, that's just how I did my time.
Yeah.
And now you've involved my granddaughter.
The difference is he was associated with a gang.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the pressure.
I didn't have a lot of understanding about how the workings of that went until later on.
He had the pressure of bringing in whatever assignment they gave.
Yes.
And if he didn't, then they'd put a go light on him.
Right.
So, and what I mean by a go light is a hit on your life.
Right. Right. So, but now he's in the hole. So, and she's in jail, and I'm pissed. And so anyway, she gets out of jail. I tear him down. I tell him, don't bother communicating with me for a while. I really, this is just the fact that you put my granddaughter in a situation like that is not okay. Not okay at all. So anyway, that put a little bit of a wedge, you know what I mean? And then life goes on. My daughter-in-law, she's in trouble. She's not speaking to him anymore, and that's just kind of went that relationship for the most part, and now there's no communication, I mean. And I told her I supported her in getting away from that and getting away from him, and that, and everything that I'm here for.
Right.
Her.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about him and his situation, the decisions he's making, but my concern is her at this point. He's an adult. She is not. So that was kind of my stance. So he shortly thereafter, now, mind you, that was my input from somebody that's already relapsed again.
Right.
So, I mean, and anyway, fast forward, he is in the hole for quite some time. I want to say, it was months.
Oh, yeah. When they get thrown in the hole, because they have to do an investigation.
Yes.
And it could be 6-8 months before they come to a determination.
Right. So he gets out of the hole. Well, they give him another chance. Now he has another assignment. And I had also gotten into a crappy relationship. By this time, I'm probably doing more dumb stuff, but I was in a really dumb relationship, and he had hit me in the face or something. I had a pretty big bruise on my face, and and somehow he had found out about it. I can't remember the details exactly, but and then he gets in a fight that same day, but it's just not a fight. Come to find out, he blamed it on me. He was like, "Oh, I was mad. That guy gave me a side eye." I found out it was another assignment, but anyway, and this guy had to be life flighted, and his face had to be completely reconstructed. And the guy was in a coma, and it was serious, and he was in the hole for that for a year and a half. And so now, he's probably spent 2 years in the hole, and he just got to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's just how it went. I mean, the majority of his time in prison, he's spent in the hole. And
So did my son.
he's, been stabbed.
And if you've got mental illness, being in the hole is the most unhealthy thing because
He developed schizophrenia.
yeah.
Yeah. On top of all the other things. So, and I had ended up going back to prison, and he got out for like a short, maybe 30-day stint, and ended up going right back. So, and at that time, he'd probably done about 6 years of his sentence, and right back, and caught more charges. And just the perpetual cycle.
I understand that cycle. Stephen was the same way. I think the longest Stephen had out was maybe 18 months, and that was early in his rotations. And the only reason why he had been out for 5 years before he died was because 4 of those years he was quadriplegic. So, yeah.
So that was the cycle. And, okay, so now fast forward to me, by the grace of God, finally being free of my addiction and letting God, Jesus.
So you made some changes.
The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit drives my bus. So yes. And he's going to be getting out. And I'm super excited. This is like the first time that so I told you about us crossing paths in jail. So that was in 2011 or 12. So now it's 2022. And, he's getting ready. Yeah. So I'm so excited. This is the first time that we are going to see each other since we saw each other in jail. And, and I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, I'm working for a reentry nonprofit. I've got, a far reach in the community for recovery. And, he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I've got it. And, I got my head on my shoulders, and I'm trying to lay out a plan for him. Well, he's in there still doing dumb stuff.
Hadn't figured it out yet.
Yeah. He got kicked out of Ozark treatment, OCC or whatever, for doing K2 and flopping out on the floor. I'm just like, and thinking that I'm not
and then
with
probably
it.
lying to you about why he did it.
Yeah. Yep. And the JPay money. Don't get me started. Not the JPay money, but the Cash App money. Anyway, thinking that, you don't get hip to stuff eventually. No, I'm hip to it before you even ask. Anyway, so he gets out, and he gets out from the hole.
That's a worse
And he's
place.
on a CR date. So they had to let him out. And that drive
Explain
home,
what a CR date is.
a conditional release. So unless you do something severely heinous. Now, they had already taken one CR date from him. So this was the second CR date. And he only had 10 months left on his sentence. So it's conditional release. Unless you do something, existentially bad, they'll take you to your max date, and they can take that CR date, but you get out on your CR date. So it was his CR date, and he gets out from the hole. And he was at Jeff City that time. Now, mind you, I had it all set up. I reached out to connections and resources, and I'd had a plan together, and that's how it was going to be. And it wasn't how it was going to be.
Right. He had different plans.
Oh, yeah. Take me to Taylor's. I got to see her, Taylor. I don't think Taylor wants you to come there. This is not part of the agreement, but now, and this is the first time seeing him in so long, aside from visiting room. He's in my car. And I'm I'm triggered. I can't handle this. And so I'm just going to do whatever the hell he wants because I'm ready to get him out of my car.
Yes.
30 minutes after he's gotten in my car.
Yes.
You know? And then guess what's coming? All that guilt and all that shame. Did I create this? Is this what, you know what I mean? And just, so I was happy to get him to Taylor's house. I mean, I was speeding to get there, really. And of course,
I think for mothers who have had to go pick up their children from prison, all of that anticipation of the life is going to be different. It's going to be better. They're home now. The excitement of trying to help them navigate those steps forward into success. A lot of us see it very quickly. All of that is wasted time and energy because they're going to go do what they're going to go do. And we have no control of that. And I even warned my husband, I warned him and I said, listen, when he comes home, I get a little nutsy because I'm walking on eggshells trying to help navigate his lack of experience in how to get his life back on track. And if you push too hard, they get angry. If you act like it doesn't bother you, they'll push a little more. It is a psychological warfare when they first come home.
yes, yes.